right, everybody. Hope everybody had a great month. Good to talk to everybody again. And you guys know me, so let's cut the chit chat and jump right in. Uh, First one, RAM limitation fixes. Bart, did you want to speak to some of the RAM work that's being done?
Yeah, I can give a pretty quick update and mention just some of the things that we discovered or what we've kind of engaged in so far. Uh, most of what we've done so far is simple fact finding, trying to figure out where exactly the RAM that is being utilized in the system is going. We are analyzing both the EOS mainnet and the WAX network just to kind of get a nicer breadth of this usage. And I think some of the more interesting things that we've found is that the native account system is not taking up nearly as much RAM as we thought, but some of the contract tables associated with accounts, some things that scale with the number of accounts are kind of the bulk of the RAM work. So that helps us focus the rest of the investigation kind of where it's going to do the most impact instead of kind of going based on general assumptions and having maybe gone down the wrong path. So the next step will be getting a little bit more fine-grained information about that, and then also trying to evaluate each specific use of the RAM as to whether or not we are matching the capabilities we need out of the system using that RAM to what the data structure that we're using is offering, to see if there's any low-hanging fruit for that. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Things are moving along. It's hard to put more of a fine point on the types of wins we're seeing, but it does look like there is a lot of room to make some really aggressive changes that aren't going to be materially impacting, at least not negatively, to the way the chain operates, other than, of course, reducing the RAM footprint.
Any questions, comments on that?
That sounds awesome. So that means that potentially there is a set of changes that could be done that are not open heart surgery, and would not require some major rework of the protocol. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Right now, I don't think we have seen any indication that we would need protocol level changes for this. I think this is mostly software level changes in the node itself. And that is subject to change. But right now, we don't see any indication that we'd have to cut that deep in order to get some pretty impressive wins out of this. And
That's
then the rest
great.
of it is, yes, I don't think there's going to be an operational, so to speak, cost to this. So like, I'm not expecting at this point with what we've seen so far to see a dramatic increase in the CPU costs, for instance, in order to support the same load on the chain. So it might be a situation where we're just kind of, the low-hanging fruit gives us some pretty good wins and we don't have to make calculated trades based on it. But once we get a little more of this insight, we'll be able to kind of better tell whether or not there are purely just engineering wins to be had, or if there's going to be some calculated trade-offs that we'll need to bring to the coalition in order to evaluate.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. Any other comments on that or questions? All right. Next one, P2P optimized transaction propagation. As a reminder, ENF proposed we will be managing this feature, working with OCI. There are some scattered requirements defined on that, but I don't really have a solid update to give today. We did have a lot of the release work finish up over the past month, so we are starting to move ahead in other initiatives. Later this week, or actually, no, excuse me, mid next week, ENF will be publishing our public health report, and so there should be a more detailed update on just the various project work that's going on at that point. All right, next item, P2P peer discovery. So actually, Guillaume, do need an update on that one. I believe they had a PR put in Aaron approved it, but I think you have not. So just wanted to kind of get an update from you.
So the PR in question, I'm not sure which one you're referring to, because is that the one from like several months ago, or?
No, I believe it happened like over the past couple weeks. That was my impression from talking to the project manager, Adam, or excuse me, Fuman. Fuman
So
manager.
I haven't seen any PRs since my comments, and they did address still the comments that I made, and the latest on that front was essentially them catching up with the updated requirements that we agreed, and essentially like that was not a PR per se, but they had to present a list of unit tests that they would now build the core code to meet. So that list of unit tests this morning I approved because it's actually pretty good, and that would now lead to the next phase, which would be producing the core code that would meet the unit tests that would match that would work with the unit tests and pass the tests, and that would be the next PR. So that was my I guess like understanding. The previous PR um, that was proposed was not really a PR in my in my book. There was basically a half built feature that was not gonna really that should not be merged in the code. It was basically like kind of a let's say like a work in progress that was not internally consistent and complete. So I was not gonna approve that one, and I don't think that changed, at least not to my knowledge.
Okay, so you said you approved the unit test this morning?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so that was the other thing I was going to ask, because my update was from Tuesday. So that's good. I mean, Fuman should be aware of that, and same thing with the team, but I will make sure that they're on top of that and running with that.
And at this stage, there should not be any blockers for them. They should be able to complete that like I guess like the finalize that PR and to resubmit it, at which point we can test it and verify if it's fit for merging.
Okay. Any questions on P2P from anybody else? All right, next item, Antler CDT. This has had multiple release candidates at this point. I believe, and Bart, it would be great if you could confirm this, but I believe that the final candidate was, like at this point, is out now. And there's been no questions or additional feedback on the most recent version. Is that correct?
I'm pretty sure that, like 99% sure that is correct. Yes.
Okay. Again, I will make sure to everybody perhaps listening to this that in the ENF health report next week, we will have this 100% accurate in the report we publish out. All right, next item, instant finality / IBC. I think you'll probably focus on instant finality. I guess that's back to Guillaume.
Yes, right now there's not much to report because we're still in the phase of reviewing the work that has already been done. So the ENF has been hard at work on that one. There's like little progress that I can report is that anything that the engineers have found so far has been corrected promptly. They just didn't have the time to complete these things, these reviews yet. They to the reviewing committee, so there's another engineer that has now been tasked to review these essentially the work, and he's one of the guys that actually did some work on the hot stuff protocol, so that's quite quite nice to have someone like him participate. But I'm still waiting also to hear from the ENF engineering regarding the status of these updates. The last I heard was essentially from AREG on Tuesday, and he was saying that they were not yet done, but everything looked good so far. They just have been very busy with a number of other things. So for now, we're still kind of blocked until they go through the entire list of PRs to review. There's quite a few. There's the first one, which is the BLS signatures and the crypto primitives, and then there's the hot stuff core. And the unit tests as well as the map proofs and the pseudocode that we produced. So all of these, unfortunately, these are all quite complex and will require quite a bit of work from the ENF engineers. So at the current pace, I'm not expecting necessarily much movement anytime soon, but hopefully their backlog of other tasks clears up and they can dedicate more time. For now, we're essentially on standby until these have been completed and until we're able to essentially merge them into the code and keep progressing. Because following that is essentially testing, deployment to public test nets and performance analysis and all that kind of stuff. So essentially the work that has to be done before we even get there is unfortunately not something we can parallelize. We have to wait until it gets completed. And unfortunately, it engages the most senior and most in-demand resources from the ENF. So we can only be patient.
Excellent. Are there any questions for Guillaume? All right. So Aaron is not here, but I can quickly pull up the update on the SDK. Just give me 1 second. All right. Right now, SDK is closing in on milestone 6. That would be the contract kit and the account kit. In fact, it's theoretically going to be ready for acceptance tomorrow, give or take a day. Also, there has been a delay on milestone 5 simply because some of the sequencing of the work was refactored. But that is also closing in on completion. So we're not there quite yet, but both in milestone 5, by the way, is the session kit integrations and localization. So both of these are really close to being wrapped up and ready for approval. So that's the update I have on the SDK. Any questions on that? All right, last item is the ledger. So Yves, I believe you wanted to make some comments on that.
Yeah, so that file's been ongoing now for quite some time. And at this stage, it's going to hold indefinitely unless somebody else can pick it up. We just don't have the resources to continue this file. It's been extremely slow in general. And the person that was in charge of this is now assigned to completely different work. So if somebody else in the coalition wants to pick it up, we can likely hand that off. Otherwise, it's basically on hold.
Do you know what needs to be done in terms of work? Is that technical work or is it?
I don't know. Maybe Bart can comment a little bit more, or we can talk about it afterwards. I know a lot of it was the coordination with the ledger team. I think it needed. I think we needed to rewrite some stuff as well to do the coding to split the apps, make sure that there are multiple heads. So I think there is actual technical work involved.
Yeah, the product stuff I think was being managed by Adam and Brian Hazard, but splitting the software so that it's got a head and a base, and then we had the 5 different heads, including a special Antelope head that all worked against that same base so that it took up less space on the ledger. That work did not get done.
Yeah, and I think Eric Passmore was responsible from your person.
Yes. Yeah.
If with your permission, I would maybe reach out to him and just see what kind of work is required, and no guarantees. But if this is something we can help with, maybe we could try to help out.
I'm okay with that.
All right, so that's the end of the agenda. Any other items we would like to discuss today?
I just wanted to close. I didn't get any real pushback on the Explorer question, so I just wanted to confirm, I guess, that we'll move forward with that. DLT's working on it, but just if there were any questions now that we're on a call together about it, then
I'm
otherwise
good with that. As I said, my only concerns were that if we're setting up the expectations that we're going to be funding this, as you mentioned, and as Adam had mentioned, he was going to apply for the grant framework. If I'm not mistaken, that actual grant application came through, and I believe that it did not pass. I'm not sure if that's been communicated yet, because I think the last vote came in this morning. But that was my only concern, really, is that we're setting them up, and they believe that if they do this work, they're going to get further funding. And as long as that was understood, then I'm good with that. That future funding, sorry, is not guaranteed.
yeah, no, and yeah, and my response was, my first question was, do we need to wait for any grants to pass? And the answer was no. At like a light deployment, and of the things that I outlined was something that was going to happen in any case, and all the benefits that we can hope for about getting more users and getting more feedback, and potentially people feeling like they want to make a contribution to fix or improve something because it's open source and running on all of our networks. That that can all still happen as a result of us just putting it out there and getting it available to all our communities. So there was no concern or hesitation when I brought up basically what you had concerns about.
Yeah, my understanding is Detroit Ledger Technologies understands that there's no guarantees. They would like to move this forward as a public good, and they remain hopeful that people will want to support it, but they don't have any expectations.
Yeah, and the cost to actually operate it, given all 4 of our networks have public Hyperion endpoints, which is what the whole thing's built around for history, is the deployment link I've shared has been up for a while. It works fine, right? Nobody had to pay anything for that. It's free CDN based hosting, and it just hits Hyperion. So it's a kind of a no-brainer to actually just turn it on, and then from there, features specific to each network and new features that we would all benefit from, will happen as they can, organically or through funding that accelerates it. And I know there's some non-coalition chains that maybe are interested too, that may, want to fund some features as well. So, I think it's best just to get it out there, get more people using it, and see what happens. There's not a real cost to that.
Yeah, I think their ask was simply to be able to use the URLs, the Antelope.io URLs. That was really what they wanted to know. It wasn't some back end end run on funding or anything. So
yeah, exactly. No.
Yep.
Just use the domain, and because it makes sense. So then we will use that. To close on it, the only other thing was I think Lucas, you mentioned the Explorer and something about go-to-market. If you do want us to coordinate anything about turning that on, it's obviously not going to happen tomorrow, and we can coordinate when it's ready to actually be flipped on. If there's anything that we want to coordinate, of course we can do that. I wasn't sure if that's what you were.
No, there was, I guess there is a redesign of the Antelope site question that came up in our meeting, and the question was whether the coalition needs to approve any materials that came out of the redesign. And then, there was just a general kind of status question as to, where that project is, whether that was put on hold.
The
Do we
redesign,
know-
because I think you also had a link for
of the
Explorer.
Antelope site.
Oh, okay.
Do
Unrelated
we
to
know
Explorer.
who's doing the Antelope website? Like which resources are being used for this?
I'm not sure. It may be that the project is on hold, but it seems like the marketing go-to-market group does not know what the status of this is.
Jesse, do you know if Justin is the lead for this? I thought Justin was the lead for the go-to-market group. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I do not know. I know, but I mean, what you've said sounds familiar, Lucas. But I know no more than the rest of us because I don't really participate in that go-to-market side. I can ask him. He's obviously not on the call today. Yeah, I don't know. But I guess, Lucas, it sounds like the message you sent in our Telegram was specifically around the website rebuild and not about my Explorer question.
Right.
Okay. I can ask Justin to give an update in the channel, respond to your question. Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Is there anything else we want to chat about today?
Not on my end.
All good.
All
Yeah.
set.
Great meeting, guys. Great update. Love the monthly format.
Yes, and pretty quick too. So that's awesome. Good job, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Everybody.